Good morning, this is Ted from The Devil's in the Detail. I thought I'd give you a quick walk around on the Pagoda to show the next stages. As you know, we primed the vehicle last week and now we've guide coated it. As you can see, we've gone around with an aerosol, basically just flicking black paint all over the primed areas. And for those of you that are not used to this sort of thing, I'll explain and show you why we do it. Basically, the black settles in to the primer and shows any low spots where we're flatting. As you can see, I've just done this little bit to demonstrate, and you can see there's still some of the black visible. So now I need to block these down until the black's not visible. Once we've done the 400 initial flat to make sure that all this black needs to go, anywhere that shows up that stays black means it's low, and we'll have to deal with that as we come to it. But I'm hoping that this is all flat anyway. So by the time it's all flatted with 400, it'll then be ready to flat again with 800, and then that will take out the heavier scratching from the 400, because I don't want anything showing through the paint once it's on. So we'll get it as smooth as possible before the paint goes on. Plus, like I say, if there's any low spots, they'll show up, and then I can deal with them as I find them. If I find them, I'm pretty confident that the car is flat, but you just don't know till it's all completed, and that's why this is done. We don't take for granted that it's flat. The black paint will prove, you know, if there's anything low, it will stay black, or little pigments will show like I just showed you. But the areas I've already started, they're coming down nice and flat. I did put 5 coats of the stuff on, so it's quite thick, which gives me a good base to work it. So that's what we're going to be doing for at least the next week. You know, it's not a quick procedure to flat the whole car twice, but the finish is really down to how you prep the car, and if you prep it properly, then the finish will show that. You know, we'll get a better finish. Then once the paint's laid on and cured, I'll flat the paint and polish it. And to be fair, even though, you know, some of us don't really like the colour it's going to be, it'll still look stunning when the chrome and everything goes back on it, and you know, the tyres are all visible. The car will look nice, you know, and it'll be original colour, and the car's got great history, so, you know, keeping it original, you know, is probably the best way to go. Once I've flatted this down with 400, before I 800 it, I'm going to be painting the underside of the car in the body colour. I don't want to be splashing paint on the outer panels after it's painted, so we'll do the underside before we put the finish coats on. So this is where we're at, and the progress over the next week or so is going to be quite slow and steady, but this is what we have to do to get what we think's a good finish. So you're probably not going to see much from this job over the week, but we'll see how far I get. It's one of them things that has to be done. A time consuming, and you know, but it does make a better job at the end. So I'll see you soon, and if anything else interesting arrives, all these panels are now ready, the bonnet's ready, and I've had to go ahead to start building that one. So I've got plenty to do, even though I've got no polishing to do. So I'll see you soon, and thanks for watching. Not one of my usual posts, but this is what I'm working on for the next week. Trying to get this ready for painting. I've spent a number of years slowly in between jobs getting it ready, and it's virtually ready for paint. So I'll keep posting as we go along. Good morning to you from the Devil's in the Detail. I thought we'd have an update on what's been going on this week. Last Friday I put my knee out, actually getting from underneath this pagoda. So this week I've tried to keep standing as straight as I can, and I've remasked all the car, this side. The boot, I've put some colour, or started to put some colour around the edges, and I've also reflatted the whole side of the car. A couple of little bits that I wasn't quite as happy with as I thought I was in the first place, so they've been redone. I've reflatted all the parts that was coloured up. I removed the door, that'll be painted off the car, and this panel here had some runs in it from previous repaint, so I've removed them and re-prepped it and put some colour on that. All the sills, the front of the car, this side has been coloured up, around the bonnet area has been coloured up. I've made a repair just along here. There was a very slight ripple, and when I put the colour on I could see it, so I've redone that. I've re-prepped the front end. I found a couple of little pinholes along this section of the nose cone, so I've redone that, and as you can see this is coloured up and flatted. The lower part of under the grille has all been done and flatted, and this side is now as ready for painting as it's ever going to be. One of the things I've paid attention to is the swage line. Because this car's had probably 4 or 5 coats of primers, epoxy, the fear is that the paint build up along the swage line, when we come to paint it, and I'm going to try and get like 5 litres of paint on this car so that I can flat it completely flat before it's polished, there's always that chance that it's going to build up too high in the swage line and lose it. So I've blocked all the way down into the swage lines, obviously without leaving a ridge, to make sure that we don't lose the contour when all the paint goes on. So that's been done. Under the car, you've probably already seen the pictures. I've put some paint on underneath all the wheel arches and the inside of the wings. The inside of the wings have been took down completely, down to the metal, and they're absolutely perfect. And these, some of you who followed the early part of this job on Detailing World would remember that all these wheel arches have been worked more than once till I was happy with them, and I'm happy with the results that have come out on that. And now if I can get down without twisting my knee again, I'll show you the underside of the floor. And I've done this in satin black. It's going to have another coat. Looks a bit glossy there for satin, but probably the way the light's reflecting. But the floors, someone will remember this has had 4 floor pans made, and we made them by hand because at the time when we did them some years ago, you couldn't actually buy them. The chassis rail had been jacked up across here and kinked. Some may remember I cut the inside out and then knocked it all back down and levelled it up, and brought it back to how it should look. All the pipes are hanging down at the moment. I've still got to go under the other side. I'm going to do that today. I'm going to start painting the other side of the car. But this is all looking really, you know, as tidy as you could expect anything. You know, if you look under here, you can't tell that it's had floors. Everything's been done to make the repairs invisible, including putting a new chassis leg in and making it look like it's never been touched. The pipes I'm going to try and polish up with some wire wool before we put the clips back on, which leads me over here to the clips and the rubbers. I did paint these and I didn't like the look of them, so I thought I'd take them back to the original metal, and then basically I've cleaned them up as much as I can, and then I've lacquered them, which will fend off any rust for a while. All the rubbers I've restored. They'd all gone hard, but now they're all soft again. I've soaked them in rubber renovator for about 3 days. Cleaned all the bits of overspray and that off them. I've got all new bolts ready to go back in. And I suppose that's about the culmination of the week. You know, it's hard to believe that so many hours have gone into the car just to get this side ready, which, to be fair, I did think, you know, was as good as it was going to get, but I have found some little things, and you always do, you know. It's like anything else. We're searching for as close to perfect as we can get, and you keep finding little things, and you think, well, you know, for another hour or two, we can get that a little bit better, and that's what I've been doing. Don't want to put the paints on and then think, oh, I wish I'd done that, or I wish I'd seen that. So I'm going round with a microscope, if you like, checking and double checking. So the next job is to get in and do this side. The problem I've left myself is that the Mercedes is waiting to go to Mercedes for a bit of warranty work on the one door. There's a bit of rust coming up around one of the mirrors. And we don't want the car to get dirty before it goes, because the owner, David, wants it back how it looks now. So we're going to take it there when it's clean, and that's how we want it to come back. I don't think there's much chance of that though, but you know, we can hope. So today I'm going to go underneath and start putting the satin black on the other side of the floor, and obviously just work my way along. I've got the car jacked up on stands, and obviously I wanted to get the car out in the middle to do it and to get some paint on, but until this car's gone and I can cover everything in the shop, unfortunately I can't move it, so I'm going to work around as much as I can. The other thing is I've got some more jobs booked in starting from next week. So I've got 2, possibly 3 days to work on this before the next polishing job arrives. And you know, I can't repaint it while they're here, so I'm going to get it ready and as close to ready as I can, so that when I get my next gap I can actually paint the car. So anyway, that's what's been going on, and I thought I'd just give you some idea of how this is coming on. I wish I had some of the early footage of... Hello, this is Ted from The Devil's in the Detail. I'm in the light room, which is now converted to a spray booth, and the only reason this is in here is this is my last ever restoration. Some of you who have known me years know that I've done lots of restoration work, and this one's going to be my final one. So I want to paint this one myself. I normally would send it away, have it painted, let it cure, come back, I'd flat it and polish it. Well, been a long time since I've put any paint on a car, although I have primed this car. But I thought I want to give myself the pleasure of putting the paint on this one. So I'm going to start now. We're going to panel wipe the old car. I'm going to wipe it with the panel wipe to degrease it. It's already been done a couple of times, but I'm going to do it again. Panel wipe it, wipe the residue off, make sure there's nothing staying on the panel, and go around the whole car and get it all nice and clean. And then when I start the painting process, we'll tap rag it off really as we go, make sure there's no bits that have landed. I've got no extraction in here, so it's going to get a bit cloudy. I could have used the booth round at Perfection, but they've got working, and then, you know, it's waiting to get the opportunity. So I thought, sod it, I'm just going to do it in here. It doesn't really matter. Obviously I want to get a finish on the car, but it doesn't really matter, because once it's cured, it's going to be block flatted, dead flat and polished. So it doesn't really matter about orange peel and stuff like that. It's a straight colour. If it was a metallic, I wouldn't do it, because it's been a long time since I've painted anything, and I wouldn't want it to look cloudy, or, you know, the metallics lie in different ways. But it's a straight colour, so it's not a difficult colour, and it doesn't really matter about the finish, like I say. So I'm just going to panel wipe it. I'm not going to drag you through the whole car being panel wiped, but just to give you some idea of the preparation, you know, all these little gaps and that need to be nice and clean before the paint's applied, because these are the sort of places that you get the dusters built up, and when you put the airline and the spray gun by, it blows the dust up in the air and then lands in the paint, so we don't want none of that. So going to make sure it's all nice and clean and ready to go to receive the paint. So I'm just going to go over the whole car. Like I say, I'm just making sure there's no residue left anywhere. Anything that will stop the paint adhering, we don't want none of that. So there we are. I'll try and show some more of the process as we go on. Like I say, we're going to have quite a lot of overspray in here. So I'm probably not going to leave my phone in here filming for the duration, but we'll try and get some of it anyway. Well, I'll see you on the next one, I'm going to get cracking. You mean Mr. Blobhead. See you later.